Hey everyone, we are back. We are here live at the Grovian Doll Museum in Pacific Grove, California. We are about to have a seminar on dolls that are children. So they are depicted as children and young adults, probably under about 12 years old. And so you're not going to see lady dolls. We're going to see some of those later on in the week. We are focusing all on children dolls, and we're going to have it live right now with Michael Canadas. If you guys are tuning in and you're loving the video, share it with your friends so more people can tune in live and see what we're doing right now. So feel free to comment, engage, ask questions, share the video, and have some dolly fun with us right now for Doll Week. We're going to turn the camera around so we can see this wonderful, luscious case. Michael, hello.
Hello, and hello, Ruby Lane.
Hello. Thank you for having us here. This is so exciting. We already have a lot of people tuning in. Tell us about this wonderful case that we are standing in front of.
Well, the room that you're standing in, that this case is in, this is called the gold room. The reason it's called the gold room is because the walls are painted a golden color. And this is the room that if you came for a seminar here, that this room will seat up to 40 people, theater style. But this case here is an old Irish coat closet. And all of the dolls in this case depict children, with the exception of their babysitter, which is W.C. Fields. And he said, "I will never work with children or animals." So we thought it was great to put him in here.
Kind of apropos.
Yes. And so every doll in the case is a child doll. You could say, with the French, you could call them bébés. And a lot of people don't realize that when Pierre Jumeau went to London for the great exhibition at the Crystal Palace, his English was not very good. So he couldn't say the word baby. So it came out bébé. So that's why we call them bébés. But they're not all bébés. There's just plain child dolls and character dolls.
There is a little bit of everything.
Yes.
So as we tune in, and a lot of people are already tuning in and sharing the video, we're going to see a child depiction in just about every medium of antique doll, from composition Shirley Temple to the wonderful 300 Lin Chi series to fine early German and French characters. Where are we going to start?
Well, we're going to start. You earlier had a request where someone said, "I have an SFBJ 1907 era doll, and I need to know how I should dress it." So I think we could start with answering that question. Here we have a Deposé SFBJ period doll in its original box with its original clothes. So for that viewer, this is pretty much how your doll should be dressed.
This is it. Now, when we say original, it's hard to decipher original a lot of the time. Are there any helpful tips that you can give us just while looking at this piece to determine?
Okay, very quickly how you could tell if a wardrobe doll was, let's start with put together things. What you would want to see is a condition that is consistent. So you wouldn't have one piece that's very worn and one piece that's very perfect. This is in really a perfect state of preservation, because if you notice, this folds, that folds, and then back here is the lid. So this is actually not the lid. So it was able to be stored so that it could stay in perfect preservation. And of course, people played differently then. And if you were wealthy enough that you didn't have to pass a doll down to the next generation, you could keep it nice. But there's a lot of things that you can use to tell whether something is original or not original. It's the first thing is materials.
Right.
That's the number one thing. I mean, if someone's trying to sell you a rayon dress as being the 1860s, it's probably not going to be
right.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is common sense.
Yes,
when you think about it.
Yes.
So we are looking at children, and we are seeing some wonderful characters and some French bébés and so many beautiful things. How do we even, where are we going to go next?
Well, in a way, we could start chronologically with age. Some of the oldest ones that we have in our children are our wax children. Like, for instance, this doll back in the corner, which is a wonderful piece. that belonged to Princess Louise, Queen Victoria's daughter. So that's, 1850, 60, 55, 60 range. I would have to look it up exactly, but it's in that time frame. And that's probably one of the earliest child dolls. And wax dolls were, however you dress them, they could be a lady, they could be a child, but those are child dolls.
So when you're determining a child doll from a lady doll, one of the biggest indicators is the face and then also the body.
Yes, but not necessarily, because you could have a Georgian wooden doll that could be an infant's clothes, and the only thing that makes it a baby are the clothes. But by here we start to have fat rolls and the things that they wanted in a child start to appear. Little rotund bodies like this one. Look at this. This is really. This was actually, this little treasure came from. We purchased this off of Ruby Lane. Look at those flirting eyes.
I have never seen flirty eyes in a wax doll.
Yeah, and then the open mouth of teeth.
How neat.
And the wonderful clothing, and just a wonderful little piece. But when you look at it, she's chubby. And, you wanted your child to be a little butterball. Because a little butterball could survive
right,
with a lot of the childhood diseases that they had then. And
Kristen Sims just commented and said, who is the little one in green left in the case with Shirley? That is a Grumpykins.
that is a Grumpykins. And her original Grumpykins box.
Look at that.
This is kind of a new area for us to add into the compositions. So it's, we're small because we've just really started adding that era into the collection.
But they are wonderful examples and a great addition because they tell a little bit of the story. And these are probably the newest ones in the case.
Yes, it says a recent acquisition. And then I should tell you, I'm fussy about Shirley's because I think that Shirley's got a Shirley for us has to be able to hold up to, say, this pistol, by the way, isn't going to be here forever. It's going to get moved into another display, but Shirley's got to hold up to them. So I'm fussy about Shirley's, and that's a really early Shirley.
We're going to get in close right here. She's got to be from 1934, and her face is just incredible. The eyes, just amazing.
Yeah, and she's just beautiful.
What a treat.
And I have a funny story about Shirley. Many years ago, I worked at a very famous and prestigious restaurant called the Marquis. And that was a place where you wore tuxedos and you did flambe and Chateaubriand. And on the Monterey Peninsula, which is where we are, we've had many years since the beginning of the founding of this area, celebrities come here. And local people are very low-key about it and don't bother them because that's why they're here, for the natural beauty and the privacy. So I had this couple come to dinner, which I was taking care of them, named Mr. and Mrs. Black. And Mr. and Mrs. Black had their dinner, and they're very lovely people. And at the next table was a family with a little child, and the little girl ordered a Shirley Temple. And Mrs. Black just made a smile with her little dimple still intact because Mrs. Black was Shirley Temple.
How exciting.
So that was just a
That's
really
amazing.
Sweet, you'd have to remember
yeah.
at that time it was probably 60 years from her career and someone's still ordering a Shirley Temple.
So wonderful. I love that story.
I have seen Shirley Temple.
You have seen Shirley Temple.
Yes.
Speaking of dolls we shared this doll in anticipation for Doll Week. Tell us about this wonderful brew we are looking at right here.
Well, we're going to do dolls of color, and I will bring her out so that we'll have a closer look. But one of my most, and David's most favorite brews, and that's Miss Cho-Cho-san. That's Madame Butterfly. And it's a brew in just such a beautiful face, I think, and beautiful coloring. And she has everything that we would want in any kind of doll. Now that being said, when that doll came to us, which is all original clothes and everything, I think we worked 2 solid weeks to get the doll cabinet ready to show her, because it really looked like the poor thing was dragged through the bushes, you know, and that's the reality of doll collecting and museums. People think, oh, I want museum quality. Do they not think that the Metropolitan doesn't have a whole department to deal with the wrecks, that they're a masterpiece, but they might come in a mess that nobody wants to see that. But she is a wonderful piece. Wonderful. And there really are not, there are very few of them that exist. And her body's beautiful, her face is beautiful, and it's really a pleasure to have a doll like that.
Such a pleasure. Just like women say, I didn't roll out of bed looking like this. A lot of the dolls don't roll out of bed looking like this either.
They don't. I mean, some dolls too, I don't, as a collector, I don't want to have to do anything to. But you have to be realistic about, like for us, this might be the only opportunity that we had to acquire that doll. And, so you've got to do it.
You got to do it. This is an important doll right here. Can you explain what the Gump costume is on this wonderful Kessner?
Well, that's what we call that our little monkey, because if you look at the costume, it's got little monkeys all over it. And I believe that monkeys were a sign of good luck. So, not only is he a little baby Gump, which some of your viewers might not know what baby, when you call it a baby Gump, is in San Francisco near Chinatown. Famous Chinatown, is the department store Gump's. And it was one of the premier California shopping destinations, and still is, by the way. And they were the ones that ordered these Chinese babies, because even 100 years ago, we had tourists that went to San Francisco, they went to Chinatown, and what's more delightful than a Chinese baby? They're the cutest things in the whole wide world.
Cutest things.
So if you can't get one of their babies, you went to Gump's and you bought one.
Got one he's just wonderful.
No, and to me, they really are just one of the cutest things that Kessner did in babies.
So much, and those costumes, they really do have to be in that costume. They're so hard to dress if you have to recreate a costume like that.
Yes, and if you do recreate the costume, there's plenty of wonderful Chinese
patterns,
findings and things that you could use. And this is our little Lin Chi 300 series collection. We have other Lin Chis, but these are kind of a personal favorite of ours, and the one that the star of the group is our Native American,
which we shared on our page, and we had so many inquiries about him. So fabulous in that headdress. When you found him, you must have just...
Well, it was one of those things that we are very lucky that, you have to fully engage in this hobby, and that doll was saved for us. Not that you'd think that, Michael and David, collect Lin Chis, but they knew that it would be something that would work for our museum or work for our clientele, and it was safe for us. So I think that even cyber shopping, you've got to build relationships to get the goodies.
Right.
One time I had, speaking as a dealer, I had a very good customer of ours come in, and they're very indignant that all the dealers shop before the show, and it was so terrible, and how dare we do that, and life is so unfair. And I let him go on and on with his lecturing me, and I said, so I guess you don't want to see what I bought, set up and saved and put under the table for you.
Exactly. Well, the dealers have to buy the stuff to sell it.
And I knew that he wanted it, and that boy did he do an about face on that.
We have tons of people tuning in right now, and if you guys are tuning in, we're here live at the Grovian Doll Museum in Pacific Grove, California. If what we are showing you right now inspires you and makes your heart sing, share our video so more people can tune in live right now. Christian just said, this is so fun.
Well, I'm glad, but you know what, Christian, it's supposed to be fun. I should point this little girl out. She is on the list of the most wanted in this whole place. Really, there's probably 3 that people really want. And it's a Simon & Hovick on a very funny papier-mâché wood body with twill covering, meant to copy a chameau. And this is a good lesson for people to learn. This was bought by a friend of ours, and she got it home and she found a boo-boo in it. And she really couldn't wait to get rid of it. She was upset about it. And I took one look at it and thought, I have to have that doll.
Exactly.
Now, it was not cheap, by the way, but I thought, I have to have that doll, because I thought, I'll never see it again. So I got it home, washed its head. It did not have a boo-boo.
Exactly.
And so, of course, now she wants it back in the worst way. But here's the thing. I knew then that as a collector, I could accept its flaw, because I thought, I'll never see this again. I'll never have an opportunity. But if I did, I could always upgrade and sell this one. And so it's really, at some point, you know, a long, long time ago, I lightened up on things like that. That if I love the piece and it sparkles, it has star quality, I'm taking it.
That is so smart.
And by the way, you don't have to tell your friends. I always tell when we have collectors that we work with, and now you'll say, oh, that's a beautiful doll, and they start to tell you all the things that are wrong with it, and you're not buying it. I say, don't tell. That's like telling your age.
Right.
Or telling your weight.
Yeah.
If they're not buying it from you, you don't
need to tell
them.
them you got Juvederm.
Yeah.
So we're looking at these wonderful dolls, and I love what you just said about just buying it if you love it, because living with the regret of not buying something is much worse than living with a boo-boo.
Do you know the Edith Piaf song, No Regrets?
Exactly.
I've made my mistakes, I've learned from them, and I have no regrets. Here's what we regret. We regret what we didn't buy.
Exactly.
And you think, and then you try to work it out in your mind. How come I didn't do that? I had the opportunity. Well, usually you have a really darn good reason why you didn't buy it. But otherwise, I think you have to... No, don't regret
Sometimes
it.
waiting, too. If you wait too long.
In my old age, I'm going to embroider a pillow, and it's going to say... I just forgot what it's going to say. It's going to say something.
We're going to come back to it. Because sometimes if you wait too long, you do miss that doll. This is so fun.
I'm going to embroider a pillow in my old age that says, in my old age, I'm going to embroider a pillow.
Oh, that'll be good. Well, I'll take one of those for sure.
Oh, I know. Oh. If you buy the best, you only cry once.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
Oh, and that is a very, very good piece of advice.
Put on my pillow.
Speaking of buying the best, you certainly have. Tell our viewers what they're looking at. A lot of people that are watching right now have never seen these.
Of course, mignonettes.
Which is French for little French doll.
Yeah, it means small.
Small doll.
Tiny.
Small.
And
they're
miniature.
Are they usually always all bisque?
Yeah, I think if you're going to talk about small dolls and calling them mignonettes, they have to be all bisque.
And French.
And marketed through France. Because a lot of them were Germans that were... Remember, you can be in Germany in the morning and be in Paris in the afternoon. So there was a ebb and flow for years.
Right.
But you're looking at an Emile Jameau EJ, a long face, an AT Tullier, another EJ, which she's got, her costume is labeled, this one with the kind of blue and brown.
Can we open this door? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you can open any, we have the technology.
So we are closer than you could be if you were actually here, because
you'd have to be really tall.
You'd have to be really tall and getting in behind the glass, which doesn't happen. So.
You know, a lot of times too, we have, during our workshops, sewing workshops, this room turns into a dining room. And what's interesting, it's dinner at the museum, and people sit in different positions every night because where they're sitting, they see different things. So even though this is looking up high, if you're sitting at a dinner spot here, they're looking down at you. And then we have Cameron Reinhardt's Marie, Hans, Carl, and Phillips. And then we have our alley dog, Georgine Alley dog. And we're going to bring some of those out.
He's
I think in
wonderful.
seminars too to talk.
Cameron Reinhardt, when they started doing the character series, that was very progressive of the time.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was a whole full movement of art movement of getting back to, you know, I mean, there was the tragedy of the dolly-faced doll with no bland expression, blah, 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 blah. So they created a need, which it gave a lot of artists work to sculpt these incredible dolls. And there's a great article in Doll News by Julie Lewis, who's probably going to tune into some of these videos. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Julie.
And she goes into that. But it really was a wonderful movement. And okay, so maybe they were not financially successful in their day, but to us, they've left some really wonderful portrait dolls.
Again, it's I guess it's kind of like Van Gogh, who didn't sell a single painting, and then he's one of the most sought after artists in the world.
Exactly.
So we love them, these wonderful characters, and part of the reason why we do love them is the mystery that there are only a few of them to exist.
Well, but you know, there's some. Right now is a fantastic time to collect character dolls, but now you've moved into the Bebe department.
If you guys are tuning in, we are here live at the Grovian Doll Museum in Pacific Grove, California. We are having a seminar with Michael Kanatis on children dolls, children Bebes, and we are learning so much. It is so great. Share our video.
Size 1 EJ, original costume.
Now the little ones are people love them.
They do. They do. And you know, I love them too, but you know what? I also love dolls of
And just so you guys can see this.
Yeah,
and I
she's
have a rather
small.
large hand, but she is a very, very small doll.
A little Steiner, a Series C Steiner, and a little EJ Gemot, and a Gautier, and a Phoenix. And then I love to mix some nice Germans into the mix with beautiful clothes, and then people will ask what they are, and they don't realize, but they're German dolls. But this is one with a composition body with bisque arms that have ball joints. So it's actually rarer than any of these other dolls. It's the only one I've ever seen.
Now, just by looking at her face, she's German. The other ones in this case are French. How can we tell, just by some characteristics, that this is a German doll?
I think that one thing too, if you're going to get down and into the nitty-gritty of the doll, that all of these kids from here on would all have pressed bisque heads, and this one would have a poured bisque head.
Right.
And you could feel the difference. And maybe we'll just do that tomorrow.
That would be, yes, that would be fun to show everybody.
And then here we have again another little Gemot, another C Steiner with lever eyes, and then a Bebe model with teeth, which is very unusual to have. She's got little open mouth, little painted teeth, and then a Schmidt, and then another little German, but really dressed on par with the French dolls of the time.
Yeah, she really is. And then
and I have
this
to tell you,
wonderful
let's
teddy
go
bear.
back to here, because I think that this is an outstanding doll. And we bought this in London from a kind of prominent dealer. And she could not wait to get rid of this doll. And I think just the thought that it was a German doll, that it was somehow a lesser thing, which I was over the moon. So when you're ethnocentric, you know, that doesn't give you a lot of opportunities. I mean, I think if a doll is German or French or Japanese or from Czechoslovakia, wherever it is, a good doll is a good doll.
Exactly.
And I thought that was funny, but I, of course, took advantage of that.
When people have that frame of mind, they often miss out on a lot of very special things.
They do.
So we have not gone down here, and ooh, this is a wonderful brew doll. Her eyes are just so captivating.
She's very special. That is, we call her Miss Charity. And in the 1930s, she was dropped off at the St. Vincent de Paul. Oh, excuse me, Salvation Army. Salvation Army.
Oh, wow.
And the lady that bought her was actually the founder of their charity shops, because they had to find a way during the Great Depression to earn money, and they started the charity shops. And she was a doll collector, and she amassed hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dolls. And later on, we got the dolls. And funny thing is, we sold the dolls off, and they went to more. The money went to charity again. So she really is our little charity doll.
She's just wonderful. And then this is a Jumeau?
That is a Tete Jumeau in the original costume, and just, darling condition, and a really cutie. But here's one that's kind of special to me personally. See this little boy? That was really one of the first really expensive dolls that I ever bought. And it's a Kessner 129. And I really saved him, because if I didn't buy him in a week or two, he would have been turned into a little girl in a frilly polyester dress.
That happens to a lot of them.
But here's the beauty of it, is that he's a wonderful boy.
He is fabulous, and a lot of times the boys are overlooked and underappreciated.
Well, I think you have to put some boys in the cabinet to keep the peace. It just keeps, everybody behaves better.
Totally agree. Speaking of boys, is this a wonderful Steiff doll?
Yes. And we are actually very low in having cloth dolls. It's not that we don't like them, that, we kind of have to pace ourselves and buy things as we can add to the collection of what, because really this is telling a story. So by not having cloth dolls, that's leaving out a big part of the story.
Jennifer Hicks just said, I love the photographs as well.
Well, this is an original Brew trading card. And when you would go to a shop, you could get those as a giveaway. They're very, very rare.
Look at that.
And one thing they help us with is, how did the dolls really look? So if you see that, they were very, very frilly. And what time has done is softened all that. But also, too, on the back, there's all the propaganda of the company.
Look at that.
And I have a real soft spot for any kind of ephemeral material that helps, learn more about dolls.
Because it's hardly any of it survived.
Exactly. And here are trade cards from Jumeau.
And that is just how we want to see Jumeau. Dressed just like that.
And it's over the top, to the umpteenth. And the amount of material that was lavished on the dolls, it's really just decadent and wonderful.
Wonderful.
But I think sometimes it would be hard for collectors if they really saw how bright these things were when they were new. They were in Technicolor, just bright and dazzling.
One section that we have not peeked in right here is this is a wax doll, and behind that
is a wonderful, but look at the wax doll.
Look at that.
It's a whimsy. It's a sewing necessaire.
Look at that, everybody. If you are tuning in, share our video so we can share all these wonderful things with the world. That is amazing.
And it's in just such amazing condition.
That it almost doesn't look original, because it's just, you don't see things like this.
It was probably bought and put away, and, it's probably had more exposure here than it had in its whole life.
And how old is this piece?
Probably 1880s by the shape of the hat. But it's just a wonderful piece.
You can tell a lot about the time period by the style of the clothing, which is something we touched on earlier.
Yes.
And why it's important to study the clothing as well.
And that's an original Jumeau dress, too. We do have a lot of original clothing and shoes and things to, if we can, there has to have a reason for us to have, and those are original Red Brew shoes. We have to have a reason to have them. That part of the doll companies, a big part of their revenue was costuming their dolls.
Right.
So that's part of what we do. And that's a Steiner clown. You know, right now there's a lot of people that have clown phobias. And I'm actually enjoying the clown phobias because, you know, I'll be happy to buy all the
Steiner
dolls.
clowns, yes. Bring in the clowns.
Yes.
Take them to the Grovian Doll Museum.
And that is
This is a wonderful.
That is a wonderful piece. I think if I move this cabinet door this way, you can see it better. That is our Poupée Model doll with all of the original dresses from the Poupée Model magazine. So those are all the supplements that, and then someone in the period that the magazine came out created the box and all the little goodies and the shoes, and it's just a real, it's one of our little treasures.
Look at that little treasure.
Yeah, it's a treasure.
She's about 4.5 inches tall, it looks like,
Yes.
approximately.
Yes. And we did with Louise Hedrick, a very successful workshop that was recreating that. And that's elfinware, and that's actually from the 18th century. And that is a wonderful.
Look at that.
And look at all the little insects.
We're getting close so people can
You should.
look at that. Isn't that amazing?
And I think everyone should be so jealous because I pushed the button on Ruby Lane and got that piece.
Really?
Yes, I did. But I love elfinware, and this is 18th century elfinware. It was made for a long period of time, but this is just a wonderful piece.
It is a wonderful piece.
And it probably had a
love
whole
it.
set of creamer sugar and the plates and the cups.
A tea party, could you imagine?
Tea party. But you know what? I'm very happy to have this just one piece. I think
and it is in such great condition.
It is. It really is.
Love that you bought it on Ruby Lane. Our dealers strive so hard to bring you just the best of the best. Speaking of, Michael and David have the Carmel Doll Shop on Ruby Lane, which is one of our most active shops. They load the most wonderful items, and we're going to link to it in our video so you guys can see. But right now we are in the Grovian Doll Museum, which is an extension, or next door, I guess, to your
Yes.
wonderful doll shop, which we will be exploring tomorrow. And this is just one case. We are giving everyone a pan.
We do have, we love animals, so there's lots and lots of animals.
And this wonderful bear, we recently moved the antique bears to the Dolls Lane.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Thank you.
Yeah, because you know what, bear people can go to the dolls, but a lot of doll people are bear people.
Which is
And,
exactly why we did it. Thank you.
This is our bear Tongi, and we bought him in Belgium. Didn't we buy him in Belgium?
Wonderful.
And I bought him, and he's part of. There was a period in time where we had our businesses divided into departments, where we had the doll department and the antique department. So the doll department bought the bear, but the antique department, which was David, wanted the bear. So I actually sold the bear to David. So officially, it's his
mercenary.
Bear. Yeah. But now I'm glad.
Got to do it by the
I'm glad
books.
we have it.
And
'Cause-
he drove all over Europe. With
yeah, he
in
had the
car.
stick shift between his legs.
Oh,
and
the
he was
things
up
that
with
we
it.
go through to
Yes.
find these wonderful dolls.
If you guys are tuning in or have been watching the entire time, we have been here live with Michael Kanatis earlier and David Robinson. We have posted several videos already because this is Doll Week. It's like the Super Bowl of dolls. And we are here live in Pacific Grove, California at the Grovian Doll Museum. And so we have so much we're going to be sharing with you this week. One of the wonderful things, which is
Right behind me right here is, and we're not going to show you much, but this is a table of dolls. Michael, tell us what's going on with these dolls?
Well, this is a group of French fashion dolls that have never been in the museum before. So they were taken out of salt storage, not really, but they were salted away, and they're going to make their debut we're going to do some spot-on seminars. So some of these are going to be about makers, some of them are going to be about the fashion, some are, I'll just give you a little
bit of everything.
And, earlier I was talking about thinking outside the box. So here's all these lovely, lovely ladies, French ladies. Well, let me show you this little German lady. She's got a dress that could rival any French fashion doll. completely original. Look at all this.
Amazing.
Look at all that.
She's about 9 inches.
And she's about 9 inches tall. It's just a superb thing that, so, you know, maybe someone couldn't afford to buy a French fashion doll, but this was, you know, a few, you know, 50 cents or so. And
when you have a dress like that, who needs the doll?
Yeah, and then you just
So
create
wonderful.
the you know, and I do put this with the French fashion dolls because it is, you know, just an amazing little piece.
Well, it's wonderful that you left her in the dress a lot of people would not have. They would have taken that dress off
And I'll
and put it
tell
on
you
a French
why
doll.
they wouldn't. They didn't, because it's smaller than any French fashion
Mm,
doll. And we actually have what I consider, and David considers, the smallest French fashion doll that was ever made, and she's you know, a heifer compared to her.
So everyone is tuning in. We have so many people enjoying and sharing and saying they love this, love the videos that we are doing. We are going to be bringing you all kinds of wonderful seminars. Can you tell us about the guest speakers that we have happening tomorrow?
Yes, we have Chris Collins Madrid.
Chris
coming.
Collins Madrid is coming.
She's speaking about paper mache.
She's going to speak about paper maches.
She collects a lot of things, but one of her loves is paper maches, and she loves hatted dolls. I don't know if she's bringing any of those.
Love hatted dolls.
Those are paper maches too.
Yeah, so some of those, and then our friend Judy Smart will be speaking about Daisy. She has the most. I think she has the best Daisy
She
in the world.
has the best Daisy in the world.
One daisy or several daisies?
Oh, you only need one.
You only need
this
one.
one. You only need one.
Yeah.
And so she'll talk about Letty.
Oh, I
Lee
cannot wait.
And share the Daisy.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
fabulous.
but I mean, I think for your viewers to just get to see her Daisy is just, it's amazing.
A little dollop of daisy.
Yes, yes, a little doll,
Yeah.
and it really does. Every time we've known Judy for a lot of years and known her Daisy for a lot of years, but every time I see Daisy, it makes you think, I want one.
I gotta have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That's one of the reasons why we love sharing and hearing from other collectors, is because it is so inspiring to get us collecting. When you have that little fire beneath you that says, hey, I need to go out and find something, that's fun.
It is fun.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yes. And it certainly can clear your mind and get you thinking of in a positive way, of things that you can control.
Right.
I mean, you can control how many dresses your Daisy has. You know, when there's a lot of things in the world that you cannot.
Right. So
That is a wonderful piece of advice. We can control what we're doing here, which is bringing you the world of dolls and doll collecting from one of the best places we could possibly be in the world, which is the Grovian Doll Museum and the Carmel Doll Shop, which we are going to be doing a live tour of in the next couple days. We're going to sign off, share our video, write some questions for Michael and David, because they will be happy to answer it, and we will be back on with you guys in a little bit. See you later.
Right. Bye.
Bye.